Greedflation is something that now even somewhat indirectly the ECB is acknowledging. We see it in energy, we see it in the price of food, but this question is asking whether it needs to be tackled, and we believe it does, in the area of vulture funds and banks profiteering off the hikes in interest rates, and whether the government are willing to respond by imposing a windfall tax on those banks and vulture funds who've made super profits from the interest rate hikes that we've seen.
Thank you, Deputy.
As a small, open economy connected to Europe, the US and the wider world, Ireland is committed to a competitive, transparent and stable corporation tax system. As the Deputy will be aware, the trading profits of companies in Ireland are generally taxed at the standard corporation tax rate of 12.5%, and we are committed under the Pillar 2 agreement to increasing to an effective rate of 15% for in-scope companies. Some of the main features of the current regime are its simplicity and that it applies to a broad base. Imposing additional taxes in certain sectors would involve increased complexity and could change the attractiveness of Ireland's corporate tax regime. While it is possible that imposing such taxes could lead to theoretical gains, there is a risk of such taxes leading to lower levels of economic activity and to companies passing the additional tax burden onto their suppliers or consumers. In relation to introducing a windfall tax on banks, there are a number of factors that would need to be considered, such as the potential for negative impacts on bank customers and indeed bank employees, and further reduced appetite for competition in a sector that has recently seen the departure of two very significant retail banks. These issues have been considered and discussed with deputies in detail in debates on various proposals relating to taxation of the banking sector. Deputies will be aware that a banking sector-specific measure has been in place since 2014 in the form of a bank levy, and as the levy is due to expire this year in law, my department is currently carrying out a review to help inform consideration of its future. This has involved a public consultation that ran for a month and closed just last week. I hope to be in a position to announce my decision on the levy's future based on the review's findings and recommendations as part of Budget 2024.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy.
Minister, first of all, it's a very spurious argument to say that we saw a few banks leave, therefore we shouldn't consider taking any measures to put taxes on the super profits that the remaining vulture funds and banks are making at the expense of the incredible hardship that mortgage holders are suffering, who have seen, in the case of vulture funds charging 7 and 8% interest, meaning thousands and thousands of euro additional, but even the mainstream banks, if you like, hiking interest rates and making super profits. The banks that left in the situation of the tax environment that you're defending. They went because, frankly, they have no loyalty to their customers, they don't give a damn about their customers, and they just left because it suited them. So the idea that we pander to these entities that have no interest in their customers, but when their customers are being absolutely hammered at the moment, and not impose some sort of tax on the super profits they're making and use those revenues then to protect mortgage holders who are being crucified at the moment.
I'm not pandering to anybody. But in the position that I am in, I have the advantage of engaging directly with some of the world's largest companies who have invested in Ireland and who continue to invest in Ireland. And one of the issues that gets repeatedly raised is the importance of predictability, certainty and stability when it comes to policy around corporation tax. That has served Ireland well. And we have made the decision as a government to be part of the OECD BEPS agreement. We will faithfully implement Pillar 2, and this House will have a role in that regard when I bring forward the finance bill later in the year. And we are at the table negotiating the finer details of Pillar 1 in terms of the reallocation of taxing rights. But it does not serve Ireland well, in my view, given the strength of our foreign direct investment success, the fact that we're continuing to win investments for Ireland, to be changing taxation policy on the hoof, and that's not what I will do as Minister for Finance.
Minister, this isn't a general discussion about corporate tax rates. It's a specific call for a windfall tax on vulture funds and banks that are profiteering at the expense of mortgage holders, who have seen an increase in mortgage interest repayments to the tune of, €4,000 or €5,000, right? Unsustainable increases in a situation of super profits, bonanza profits being made by these vulture funds. Hundreds of thousands of ordinary people. And now even the European Union has agreed to windfall taxes, exceptional windfall taxes in the energy sector, something you still haven't actually implemented here, though you've committed to it. I'm arguing that in the case of vulture funds, who frankly contribute nothing to our economy, they just buy up people's debts and then charge them massive interest on their mortgage debt, or banks that are making super profits on the basis of increased interest rates, that it would be a reasonable thing to put a time-limited windfall tax while they're making super profits and use those revenues to protect mortgage holders.
So, Deputy, when it comes to banks, because, as I said, the existing levy that's there comes to an end in law this year, we are carrying out a review, and I will make it known what the decision is about the future of that levy when the budget is announced. As you know, in the area of investment funds, I published the terms of reference for a review of the fund sector on the 6th of April. Specifically with regard to the taxation of funds, the review will examine the role of real estate investment trusts, REITs, and Irish real estate funds, IREFs, in the property sector, including how they support housing policy objectives. There is a role for institutional investors in our housing market to provide the capital needed to meet critical housing needs, and the review will take an evidence-based approach to assessing this role. There will be extensive engagement with the sector and other relevant public sector and stakeholders, and of course members of this House will have the opportunity to input directly over the course of that review, and I look forward to discussing it with the Deputy over the period ahead.
I'd just like to ask the Minister of Finance the number of home buyers in counties Clare, Limerick and Tipperary that have availed of the Chance Help to Buy scheme since 23rd of July 2020, and if you will make a statement on it, please.
Thank you very much. The Help to Buy initiative announced in Budget 2017 is an income tax incentive measure designed to assist first-time buyers with the deposit required to purchase or self-build a new house or apartment to live in as their home. With a view to increasing the supply of new housing and stimulating demand, the relief is only available in respect of new builds. In the July 2020 stimulus plan, the scheme was amended so that the level of support available to first-time buyers was increased to the lesser of €30,000, increased from €20,000, 10% increase from 5% of the purchase price of a new home, self-built property, or the amount of income tax and dirt paid in the 4 years before the purchase or self-build. The scheme was extended in its enhanced form in Budget 2021. Help to Buy was extended in Finance Act 2022 for a further 2 years to the end of 2024. This approach took account of the need for certainty in the market pending an increase in new housing supply envisaged in Housing for All, and is in line with the recommendation of the independent review of the scheme completed by Mazars in July of 2022. Applications for Help to Buy may be made on a provisional basis as first-time buyers seek to clarify their entitlements in advance of commencing the purchase of a property. An application will only progress to the claim stage if and when the applicant decides to purchase a property that is eligible for the scheme. It is at the claim stage that the property address details become available. To the end of April, 39,657 Help to Buy claims had been made, of which 38,924 had been approved. The estimated total value of approved claims to date is of the order of €786.3 million, and the total value of approved and pending claims to date is of the order of just under €800 million. In relation to Tipperary, The information I have is the approximate number of claims relating to properties located in the counties referred to by different deputies, including Deputy Cahill, where the relief exceeded €20,000 or exceeded more than 5% of the purchase price or approved valuation, is 290 claims in the case of Tipperary. Thank you, Deputy.